Femme Nikita, just Nikita in its original French release, is a 1990 action thriller film written and directed by Luc Besson. The film was nominated for the Golden Globe Award for Best Foreign Language Film, and star Anne Prodde was awarded the French equivalent of the Best Actress Oscar, the César, for her performance. La Femme Nikita oozes with neo-noir style. Director and screenwriter Besson fills the screen and screenplay with the interplay of light and shadows, the blurring of lines of right and wrong, and dark motifs that are hallmarks of the film noir genre. True to the film noir genre, the film's tone is tense and menacing, with camera work and acting that evokes unease and paranoia in the audience. By the 1990 release of Nikita, noir had spent close to 50 years living in the minds of the audience. Besson takes advantage of our comfort with noir's well-worn narrative structure to build up our expectations. This adds impact and gravity to the film's subversion of the femme fatale archetype, as well as commentary on how little has changed since some dame waltzed into the office of some hard-boiled dick. This subversion highlights how narrow women's choices become when the state, patriarchal control, and cultural norms narrate all of our available alternatives. You know the femme fatale. First she turns you on, then she turns you in. She manipulates and confuses the world-weary anti-hero with her undeniable aura of sexiness and danger. We would do well to think of the femme fatale as a fighter on a battlefield shaped by economic exploitation, social control, and everyday misogyny. Like most fighters, the primary concern of the femme fatale is her own survival, no matter the cost. Facing a world where she has limited access to economic and social power, the femme fatale wields her only weapon, her femininity. Limited access to power and how it constrains choice is the underlying motif of La Femme Nikita. After killing a police officer during a botched pharmacy heist, she ends up in police custody, is convicted, and sentenced to death. It's then that she'd offer a choice. She can agree to be trained by the state to become a skilled assassin, or she can choose death. It's no coincidence that this choice between death and servitude is offered to her by a man old enough to be her father. Haven't we all heard a story about someone whose father taught them how to swim by throwing them in the deep end? The sink or swim mentor is commonplace, especially in the action genre. In a typical masculine narrative, it proves the protagonist's bravery and individualistic capability to his mentor, to the audience, and most importantly, to himself. In Besson's Nikita, however, it becomes something much more sinister. Nikita isn't being challenged by a mentor who believes in her and wants her to find her self-worth as an individual. Rather, after the state has spent years training her, she's thrown in the proverbial deep end simply so she can prove herself as a useful agent of state violence. The choices offered to Nikita throughout the film, like most of those offered to femmes fatale, mostly feel like a choice between thrashing wildly in the deep or death. La Femme Nikita is a series of double binds, serving as an allegory for the ones we all, particularly women, face throughout our own lives. If we wish to continue living, we may only do so through a life that isn't of our choosing. We're obliged to spend the vast majority of our best years enriching others at the expense of our own hopes, dreams, and desires, or we can cease to live entirely. Nikita, though, wasn't born a femme fatale. She was trained. In languid montage, we see her state training in weaponry, martial arts, computers, and femininity. One of my favorite scenes is where we see another female agent training her in the art of feminine performance and telling her that femininity will be her greatest weapon. Nikita subverts the femme fatale archetype with great narrative impact when, despite her training, her femininity is the one weapon she chooses not to use. The Femme Nikita ends as it began, with a choice. Nikita is the name she was given by her mother. Josephine is the name she was given by her father figure Bob. Marie is the name she gave herself once she was able to reclaim a measure of autonomy. Does she ever escape the double bind of death or servitude? Her struggle is our own. We can live as a number of identities, defined by and beholden to others, or kill them all in pursuit of an autonomy we can barely imagine. Studio 35 welcomes you to La Femme Nikita.